First order.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services on oversight visit to Goodwood Correctional Centre on 21 August.
The Honourable Ramolopeng.
Deputy Speaker, Deputy President, members of the House, the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Service undertook an oversight visit to the Goodwood Correctional Centre on the 21st August 2024. The focus areas of the oversight visit were on infrastructure, rehabilitation and social reintegration, and to receive a report of an alleged assault of a department official by another official, and of an incident by an inmate, namely Boniface Guerreira Banks. Goodwood Correctional Centre offers long occupational skills as well as short occupational skills, which includes sewing, fine art, vegetable production, painting, sewing, and entrepreneurial studies. A total of 114 inmates participate in both long and short occupational skills. The centre has its own resource project, which includes a K9 unit which was established and constructed, the provision of temporary access control, of gate control movement and security inside and outside of the premises, and the establishment of Goodwood Correctional Facility Circuit Court, which provides an additional seat to the Western Cape High Court. Deputy Speaker, a remand detainee Boniface Guerreira Banks, who happens to be an illegal foreign national, recorded with a cell phone a video which circulated on social media on the 14th of July 2024. The inmate was traced and found to have an active TikTok account and where he posted videos of over a period of 3 months. He was charged, degraded, transferred to a maximum facility, and the TikTok account was deactivated and he forfeited his privileges. An investigator was appointed to look at the possible complicity of officials. The investigation further indicated that the videos were recorded due to poor supervision by the officials. Regarding the assault of one official on another, the committee learned of the details that the official was arrested on the 8th of August 2024 and was granted bail after being detained at Goodwood Correctional Centre as a remand detainee. Deputy Speaker, the committee is concerned about the lack of perimeter fence around Goodwood Correctional Centre. This is a security risk as members of the community are able to throw contrabands into the facility. We welcome the establishment of the circuit court inside the facility as it will assist with reducing cost and security incidents. We further urge the department to engage with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development to ensure that this initiative is expanded to over correctional centres and around the country. We are concerned about the number of vacancies in the centre and urge that the matter be addressed urgently. We are concerned about the number of mental health care users, as well as those awaiting psychiatric observation in a mental health institution being incarcerated in a correctional facility. Regarding the use of contraband, such as cell phones, management of the facility is requested to engage with ICASA to look at possibilities of blocking cell phone networks, especially inside cells. In addition, the management is requested to ensure that there are measures in place to minimize contrabands getting into the facility. The committee appreciates initiatives such as the K9 unit, the Art Centre, work being done by offenders. Deputy Speaker, I table the report for the House consideration. I thank you.
I will now recognize political parties wanting to make a declaration. The usual times for declaration of votes will apply. The DA.
Honourable members, the Goodwood Correctional Centre much like other facilities, faces severe overcrowding. At the time of our oversight, it was operating at 151% of its intended capacity, which is deeply concerning. A significant issue is the lack of a well-maintained perimeter fence around the facility, presenting a clear security risk. This leaves the centre vulnerable as members of the public can throw contraband into the premises. Unfortunately, driving past the facility yesterday, I observed that the fence appeared to be in the same deteriorated condition as it was during our initial visit. Goodwood houses high-profile, high-risk inmates, including gang leaders, which makes security a priority. The introduction of a circuit court within the facility is a much-needed development. The Department of Justice would be urged to replicate this initiative at other correctional facilities in the country. One of the pressing concerns is the vacancies in critical positions that urgently need to be filled. The current ratio of officials to inmates remains alarmingly inadequate, impacting the efficiency and security of the centre. Although the CCTV camera system installed in Goodwood promises to enhance security, it was disheartening to discover that cameras were not operational during our visit. Since then, 177 of the 216 cameras were restored, with ongoing efforts to ensure full functionality of the system, which is encouraging. The findings from the security threat assessment conducted at the centre was particularly alarming. It revealed that officers were becoming too familiar with inmates, leading to security lapses. In response, the department has since implemented a rotational system to prevent this over-familiarity and improve overall security. Only time will tell whether these measures will be effective. In conclusion, the Department of Correctional Services is, like all departments, under immense financial pressure. As a national security department, it is crucial that DCS receives adequate funding, as underfunding poses a significant risk to the country's security. While all departments are expected to be innovative in managing limited resources, the Goodwood facility, as a snapshot of DCS countrywide, highlights the extent of the challenge. The backlog of criminal cases in our courts results in an increase in remand detainees, and it's putting an unbearable strain on our correctional centres. Expecting DCS to accommodate an ever-increasing and growing remand detention population without revisiting budget allocation methodology is unsustainable, and it poses a very serious security threat for the country. Thank you very much.
MK.
Thank you, Chair. The team of MK Party that was part of this trip does not have good news. They've recorded deplorable conditions. They've recorded shortage of beds, rampant use of cell phones for conducting criminal activity. The issues of contraband are just a common issue there. Shortage of prison warders. So in short, we reject this report because we think supporting it will condone a lot of wrongness. But today, Chairperson, on the 22nd of October 2024, today, I conducted a follow-up visit to a different place called Voorburg Prison here in the Western Cape as part of my ongoing parliamentary work. I was hoping that Akbar Groenewald would be here today so that I could say to him that I was welcomed also met gasvryheid by Area Commissioner Linda Fortuin and Head of Center Mr. Munaheng. That place, Akbar Groenewald, is ordentlik. Alles is reg daarso, except that there's not even one CCTV camera in that place. So it's a problem right there. But otherwise, the place is well run. During my tour, I met a person I once saw in the Namibia news, Urban Lombeni Shaumbako, whose name had surfaced in media reports concerning Pala Pala robbery at President Ramaphosa's farmhouse. Contrary to public belief and to Namibia news headlines, Urbanus is not serving time for the Palapala farm robbery, but for unrelated, cooked-up offenses, namely reckless driving, possession of unlicensed firearms, and defeating the ends of justice, all of which was discovered on some mysterious roadblock on some Sunday afternoon. He's serving a 20-year term. If I had enough time, I would show you the issues there. But today, Urbanus shared disturbing details about his arrest. He described months of surveillance, random searches, and raids prior to his arrest. More alarmingly, he confirmed that his legal team was approached by Dr. Bejani Chauke, the president's former advisor, to ensure that Palapala robbery would not be used as a defense. In exchange, he was offered a plea deal promising early release and financial compensation. He also signed non-disclosure agreements preventing him discussing the robbery. These revelations only intensify our concern as a MK about the irregularities around the Palapala farm saga. The state's introduction of irrelevant financial evidence during his trial, combined with the secretive nature of the plea deal, suggests a possible attempt to cover up the truth. Today's conversation has strengthened the MK Party's resolve to pursue justice. As the MK Party, we remain committed to uncovering the truth behind Palapala. We are now even more determined to explore private prosecution. We will request key information from the NPA and all of those involved in there. Let me conclude. That Director of Public Prosecution who gave President a clean bill of health must be summoned to the Justice Committee to account for the poor quality of NPA investigations. We will do a press briefing on this in the next coming days as the MK Party. Thank you very much.
The EFF.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I was part of the team of members that went to do oversight in this Goodwood prison. And in my entire life, I have not seen inhumane conditions worse than those ones at Goodwood Correctional Facility. Overcrowding in this facility is despicable, to say the least. It is currently sitting at 53%. That means 1/3 of the inmates either sleep on the floor or on top of the ropes that are tied between two beds to accommodate the third inmate. Goodwood, like most correctional facilities, are not spared of smuggling of contraband, particularly cell phones. Discovery of cell phones inside the cells is on the rise, and it's a cause for concern. The Boniface Kurara case took place in Goodwood, and the trend of TikTok videos made by inmates is a problem faced by many facilities, not just Goodwood Prison. We also know for a fact that these cell phones are used by gang leaders who are incarcerated to communicate with the gangs outside and even to give orders of hits to the enemies from and inside the jail cells. Minister are utlo tsenya di signal jamming machine mara ha re ba tshepe akere we know hore ba tlo di tsenya mara instead of the signal jamming inside go tlo jama machine ya teng. The question remains, why is the department not involving SAPS to thoroughly investigate who are the original owners of cell phones that are found in the cells? Perpetrators must be identified and exposed. What is so difficult to track such info? Why is the department complicit in this regard? We all know that inmates are supposedly searched on a daily basis, including when they leave or come back from courts and other institutions. In all these instances, the buck stops with the department. The center also shockingly has no perimeter fences around it, making it vulnerable for easy prison escape. It's like fielding a soccer team without a goalkeeper. Pathetic. The EFF rejects the report.
IFP.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, the IFP acknowledges the oversight report presented by the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services regarding its visit to Goodwood Correctional Center on 21st August 2024. This oversight is critical. It highlights various issues affecting the correctional environment, particularly regarding infrastructure, rehabilitation, and inmate welfare. The IFP's commitment to justice, accountability, and the well-being of individuals, both offenders and officials, guides our perspective on this report. The presence of 85 mental health care users and 15 awaiting psychiatric observation within the correctional facility raises serious concern regarding the appropriate treatment and safety of these individuals. We strongly believe that mental health care users should not be housed in correctional facilities. We urge the Department of Correctional Services to explore alternative placement in appropriate health care facilities to ensure that these individuals receive the care they need. The report details 2 critical incidents, and both incidents underscore the need for improved oversight and accountability within the institution. We advocate for a thorough investigation into these incidents and the establishment of robust protocols to prevent such occurrence in the future. The IFP also supports necessary disciplinary actions against involved officials, enforcing the principles of accountability within correctional services. I thank you.
PA.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. One of the biggest challenges that prisons face is overcrowding. Goodwood Correctional Center is one of the prisons that faces mass incarceration and limited space and staff. The approved bed space for Goodwood Correctional Center is 1,651, while there are 2,497 inmates, placing the overcrowding rate at Goodwood Correctional Center at 53%. With more inmates than officers, the staff-to-inmate ratio becomes unmanageable. This can lead to staff burnout and decline in their ability to effectively monitor inmates. One example is the inmate that had an active TikTok account where he posted videos over a period of 3 months. Following the investigation, he was found in possession of a cell phone and a charger in prison. The reason for this was alluded to as poor supervision by officials and possible complicity of officials. There is also no security perimeter fence surrounding the premises, which leads to high volumes of smuggling. Members of the community can even throw contrabands into the facility. As South Africans, we must be honest with ourselves that we are also contributing to the problem. The department's name cannot drag through the mud like this. If you want to restore dignity to the correctional services, then decisive action must be taken against the inmates and prisons officials guilty of wrongdoing at all prisons across the country. In conclusion, since prisons operate as closed institutions, it makes it difficult for public oversight. Therefore, additional staff must be hired. Regular and intensified monitoring and consistent oversight should be implemented as preventative measures that the department should undertake. I thank you.
The FF Plus.
Dankie, Hanteering Speaker. There's no doubt that there's much to be done and many obstacles to overcome to get correctional services centres up to standard as institutions of detention and rehabilitation to ultimately ensure that our communities are safe. Onmeetbare skade is oor 'n tydperk van etlike jare aan hierdie fasiliteite aangerig, van binne en van buite. Dis duidelik aan die stand van baie van hierdie fasiliteite soos die Goodwood gevangenis. Ek verwys ook natuurlik na agterstand in paroolaansoeke, soos die bykans 500 paroolaansoeke wat opgehoop het in die vorige 5 jaar. Dis duidelik aan die stand van hierdie fasiliteite soos dit tans daarna uitsien. Dis 'n groot skip hierdie voorsitter en dit gaan baie verg om hom om te draai, maar die minister het reeds gewys dat dit wel gedoen kan word. Minister Groenewald het nie net sy voorganger se agterstand van 495 aansoeke uitgewis nie, maar ook alle nuwe aansoeke reeds teen 3 Oktober vanjaar afgehandel. Dit bewys dat hierdie skip wel met harde eerlike werk omgedraai kan word. Daar is egter reuse golwe, groot struikelblokke soos oorbevolking in ons tronke wat dringend aandag sal verg. Die Goodwood gevangenis is met 53% oorbevolk. Hierdie fasiliteit het plek vir 1651 gevangenes, maar met 2497 gevangenes huisves. Daar is ook reuse probleme soos die grensheining wat net eenvoudig nie bestaan nie. Die VF+ verwelkom die feit dat die portefeulje komitee oor die departement van gevangenis, die gevolge bestuur en dissiplinêre stappe wat geneem word om amptenare wat hulself aan bedrog en korrupsie skuldig maak op aandring, sowel as 'n verslag oor die grensheining. En die VF+ sal die vordering in die verband fyn dophou. Ek dankie.
ActionSA.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are doing extremely well. The words of an inmate at Goodwood Correctional Centre in Cape Town. The portfolio committee visited the centre to see just how well they are doing. What he posted on TikTok was indeed truth. Minister, Deputy Minister, as we walked through the corridors, an unsettling feeling of envy gripped my heart, probably because I realized that the offerings in prison could have been much rather utilized in our communities. Too much, too late. This department is beginning to mirror social development. Despite the sustainable and growing crime rate, inmates are more taken care of than our marginalized communities. They have access to a full basket of skills development programs, libraries, clinics, and an over-exaggerated emphasis on their human rights while they violated the rights of many of their victims. Undocumented foreign nationals who contribute to our overcrowding crisis are consulted on whether or not they want to return to their countries with an obvious no. This despite many of them being hardcore criminals and sentenced for crimes such as drug dealing and trafficking. It's time for prison to be prison again. South African taxpayers cannot continue paying for this slap on the hand kinder incarceration. So kan dit nie aangaan nie, Minister. Too much too late. We note this report with serious concerns. I thank you.
The ACDP.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The issues raised by Mr. Mani, I think, do require some attention and do raise some serious questions. And I think all of us, it's incumbent upon us to look into the issues which he raised in an oversight visit to a prison. We as the ACDP, we've visited many facilities over the years, and it is interesting, as Mr. Mani did, where he was able to engage with an inmate and find out some disturbing issues relating to the Pala Pala issue, which do require further looking into. Now, like so many other correctional services, Goodwood is extremely overcrowded, as other speakers have indicated. And we in the ACDP have always advocated that one should look to the remand detainees. Many of those people are innocent, rather than what is want to happen is that sentenced prisoners are given a reprieve, which in our view undermines the criminal justice system. It is equally concerning that of 305 of the remand detainees have a relatively low bail. 118 of these have a bail less than 500 rand. And if I was to ask you, what does it cost per day to incarcerate a remand detainee, it is almost 400 rand a day. So it just doesn't make sense, because when you have a low bail, it's often for a very trivial offence. And so, yes, the department has tried everything in its power using provisions of the criminal justice system to look into these remand detainees. But of the 298 applications to have the bail reviewed, only 8 were successful. And I think this is a matter of concern. The ACDP is also appreciative of the speedy attention that was given to the video of Mr. Born-Free Banks, how that was dealt with, the cell phone videos. And it is concerning that either officials were complicit or negligent. The ACDP will support this report. I thank you.
Rise.
Just want to say from the outset that we are going to support this report, because what the report tells us is something that we had expected from a visit to a correctional center in South Africa. What we do know is the overcrowding of our correctional centers. But what's more worrying, and it should worry us most, is that we have categories of convicted criminals who refuse to be corrected. So when I was speaking to the Minister of Police, and as you'll know, around the Lusiki murders, one of the suspects actually conducted these criminal activities from a correctional center. And if there's something that we have to do, is to start treating the correctional centers not as a place where criminals get together to commit more crime and control what happens outside, but to pay back to society. And that's one of the things that this report, maybe it's lacking. But we also know, and I hope the Minister of Correctional Services will take this to heart, that there are a number of correctional service officials, the prison officials, that are turning a blind eye to this contraband, especially cell phones that are making their way into our prisons, and that's used to commit further crimes and terrorize South Africans who are living outside. But like I said, Mzansi, rise Mzansi, I say get a report le.
Bosa.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I must first start by saying that, as Build SA, we support the reports and actually the work being done by the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services. But we must also express concern that these issues are not new. We know that overcrowding, insufficient mental health care for inmates, smuggling of contraband, and the lack of basic security infrastructure are issues that have been plaguing the correctional facilities for far too long. What we are witnessing at Goodwood is a microcosm of a broader systemic failure. And what it does is that it reflects the gross negligence of the Department of Correctional Services. The committee has made strong recommendations to reduce overcrowding, particularly by improving bail review processes and strengthening partnerships with the judiciary. So what we would like to see is that these recommendations become more than words on paper, and that the department acts, and that this House holds the department accountable. The report reveals a growing crisis in our correctional services, and so we have to be clear that the responsibility lies with the Department of Correctional Services. We urge the department to heed the committee's call and to fill vacant posts immediately, because that will address the pervasive security breaches that allow gangs to operate with impunity from within the prison walls. The fight for justice doesn't end with arrest and sentencing. It continues in the correctional system. And if we're serious about rehabilitation and being able to reintegrate people into society, the department must take the recommendations of the report seriously. Thank you.
ATM, not here. Al-Jamal.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm not sure why everybody seems so stunned about the conditions that we're finding in prisons. It's something that has been happening for many years. Having worked in the NPA as a state advocate, prisons was overflowing then already. It was already considered a holiday inn. So the holiday inn has just increased. And it's just become more lucrative business inside these prisons. We duly note the report and feedback of the Portfolio Committee and the concerns raised. However, if our Parliament of the seventh Parliament, if we don't get our act together, and if we don't consider recommendations, and if we don't put down timelines, we're going to continue sitting with these problems. Put down timelines as to when you're going to rectify the situation that we are facing, and maybe we'll get somewhere. Let's not go 5 years from now and still sit with the same problem, if not more exacerbated problem. Thank you.
NCC, not here. PAC, not here. UAT, not present. Good, not present. ANC.
Deputy Speaker, I would love to start by quoting former President Mandela, and I quote, "It is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but how it does with its lowest one." On the 21st of August 2024, as a portfolio committee, we undertook an oversight at Goodwood. The issue of contraband in correctional centers, it's very serious. Regrettably, it's persistent. One example, the issues of inmate boniface. But I must say, Madam Speaker, we are particularly pleased to see some of the rehabilitation programs conducted by the department. The democratic government of the African National Congress have ushered in a paradigm shift in prisons to advocate rehabilitation to be in the center of correctional services. We also must appreciate the establishment of a circuit court within the center of Goodwood, which was built and offenders was used to build that court. This report is tabled during the month of October, which is a mental health awareness month. The objective of not only educating the public about mental health, but also to reduce the stigma and discrimination that people with mental illness are often subjected to. We are concerned about the number of mental health patients, as well as those awaiting psychiatric observation in mental health institutions, being incarcerated in correctional centers. These categories of inmates should not be incarcerated at correctional service facilities. It is very unfortunate that the ActionSA speaks about prisons, that we must go back to prisons, whilst they were part just a week ago that we visited prisons like Jose Mampuru, where we visited a UNISA hub, and most of those in that hub were doing very well with rehabilitation. Some holding master's degrees, they got into the prison, got into correctional centers with matric. They are living with master's degrees. We've got 2 that have PhD degrees. It is also unfortunate, Madam Speaker, that MK Party opted not to speak to the report of Goodwood, but rather tell us about their visiting their friends and what were the outcome of the specific people that they tend to visit. As the ANC, we support this report of the committee. I thank you.
Honourable members, I now recognise the Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Speaker, good afternoon to you and honourable members. May I then propose that the report be adopted? Thank you very much.
The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections? Honourable Member. Yes. Yes.
The MK party, the future of this country, is objecting.
The objection of the MK is noted. Honourable Member of the EFF.
Deputy Speaker, please register the objection of the EFF.
The objection of the EFF is noted, and with those objections, the motion is agreed to. The Secretary